All right, clue three, radical reconstruction. Radical reconstruction. Tempers rose as the elections of 1866 approached. White rioters and police attacked and killed many African Americans in two southern cities, Memphis and New Orleans. Outrage at this violence led Congress to push a stricter form of Reconstruction. Radicals in charge. By early 1867, the radical Republicans had won enough support from moderates to begin a hard Reconstruction. This period is known as Radical Reconstruction. The Reconstruction Act of 1867 removed the governments of all Southern states that had refused to ratify the 14th Amendment. It then imposed military rule on these states, dividing them into 5 military districts. And you can see that above on the map, the 5 military districts that the radicals divided the South up into. And you can see underneath where it says 4th district, 5th district, 3rd district, the general that was in charge of that particular district. Before returning to the Union, each state had to write a new constitution and ratify, that means accept, the 14th Amendment. Each state also had to let African Americans vote. Under military rule, the South took on a new look. Soldiers helped register Southern blacks to vote. In 5 states, African American voters outnumbered white voters. In the election of 1868, Republicans won all Southern states. The states wrote new constitutions, and in June 1868, Congress seated representatives from 7 reconstructed states. Fair voting for once there. Time of hope and advancement. For the first time, African Americans in the South played an active role in politics. Prominent among them were free-born African Americans, carpenters, barbers, preachers, and former Union soldiers. African Americans were elected as sheriffs, mayors, judges, and legislators. 16 African Americans served in the U.S. House of Representatives between 1872 and 1901. 2 others, Hiram Revels and Blanche Bruce, served in the Senate. Historians once took a critical view of radical Reconstruction, focusing on the widespread corruption and excessive spending during this period. More recently, however, historians have written about important accomplishments of Reconstruction. They noted that during Reconstruction, Southern states opened public schools for the first time. Legislators spread taxes more evenly and made fairer voting rules. They gave property rights to women. In addition, states rebuilt bridges, roads, and buildings destroyed by the war. Radical Reconstruction brought other sweeping changes to the South. Old leaders lost much of their power. The Republican Party built a strong following based on 3 key groups. One group, called scalawags by their opponents, were Southern whites who had opposed secession. They were against it. They were actually favored the North. Freedmen voters made up a second group. So scalawag was a term, kind of like almost a derogatory term. Southerners would call other Southerners who favored the North and who were on the North side. They're called scalawags. The third group were called carpetbaggers, a name given by Southerners to Northern whites who went south to start businesses or pursue political office. Critics claim that these Northerners were in such a rush to head south that they just tossed their clothes into cheap satchels called carpetbags. So a lot of these people came from the North to really make money off the South and try to hold public office and make money off of an economy that wasn't doing too well. Let's read the little biography quest here. That's Hiram Revels from 1822 to 1901. In his early years, Hiram Revels was a minister and preached to African American congregations across the Midwest. Throughout the Civil War, he was a staunch supporter of the Union. In 1870, Revels was elected to the U.S. Senate and thus became the nation's first African American senator. He was elected to complete the unfinished term of former Confederate President Jefferson Davis.